Hello, Bones Viewers. It's me, Ethan. I'm here with my pally, Sully. How's it going, everybody? I think everybody's doing fantastic. I'm surprised they're watching my content. Yeah, me too. Shut up. So today, we're going to be reviewing a movie that traumatized me as a child and will continue to traumatize me. I don't know why. Be that much of a pansy? I don't know, probably. But, it is World of Worlds with Tom Cruise. This is one of the classic cruise movies that I grew up with, and I watched it with my parents, and it scarred me as a child. This movie gave me nightmares. So how does the movie start? Well, I'll tell you. Just give me a minute. I'm just doing an introduction here. Alright, geez, don't have to be a weirdo about it. Whatever. Just focus on the camera. Just your head. Thanks. Anyway, I should probably get something to drink here in a minute. Anyway, the movie starts out with Tom Cruise. He's playing a man named Ray. I've forgotten his last name. And he's working at a construction site, and he looks at the time, and he needs to be somewhere, so he leaves the construction site, and he goes to his old apartment. And who's at the apartment? I'm getting to that. And at the apartment is his ex-wife and her new, not boyfriend, husband, Tim? I think it was Tim. And they are dropping off his kids for the weekend, so his ex-wife can fly to Boston with her husband to see her parents. So the first half of the movie it's kind of a slow pace. It's kind of boring at first. I don't think Sully watched it with me. No, I did not. You're right. I watched it with my brother. But anyway, yeah, the beginning of the movie is kind of slow paced, and let's see here, as the kids are staying with him, he's trying to get to know them. He obviously is not interested in them. He just wants to be by himself. Kind of a terrible father, which I can kind of see why the wife left him. But as the movie progresses, he obviously will grow attached to these children and learn to get to know about them during this horrific alien invasion. So, the son, he has two kids, Robbie and Rachel. One is like 10 years old, Robbie's like 17, maybe 16. They're actually not that old. Yeah, I know. As time goes on, and as Robbie is watching TV, the news is going on about these EMPs that are shutting down, pretty much wiping out entire cities. And so Ray comes up and he's like, hey, come on, let's go play some catch. And Robbie's like, sure, whatever. So they start playing catch, and they start getting into some really sensitive stuff. Gets weird, and then Robbie takes off. Robbie, he goes into the house. He doesn't take off. He goes into the house. You sure you can remember this movie? Yes, I'm sure I can remember this movie, Sully. But, later in the day, Ray takes a nap. He wakes up, and he looks at his daughter, and he's like, all right, where's your brother? She's like, I don't know. And she's like, he took your car without asking. And that's when things got weird, because he's kind of pissed right now, but he goes outside and he sees his car missing, and he notices everybody is looking up at the sky, and there's this giant singular point vortex just swirling around. It's kind of scary. It sounds scary. It is. And they've never seen a storm like that, so he forgets about his son, and he goes into his backyard, and it's just this giant, intimidating storm just swirling around, and the wind is not blowing away from the storm, it's blowing into or towards it. That's the weird bit. So he brings his daughter out, and he's like, this is pretty cool, isn't it? And lightning starts shooting down. And the daughter starts getting scared, and more lightning is shooting down. It's hitting the same spot. It's so bizarre. Excuse me one moment, I'm getting interrupted. Yeah, no. Sorry about that, my brother was needing me for something, and I got me some tea. because Sully's voice is a little bit hard to do. I heard that. I know you did. I don't care. Where were you? Yeah, where was I? Yeah, it was a storm, and so they noticed this lightning is hitting the same spot multiple times in a row. It's super bizarre because lightning is not supposed to strike twice in the same place, doesn't it? No, that's what the movie says, and it's what's supposed to happen, but it doesn't. So after this hits, all of the power shuts out, and he tells his daughter to stay put, and he goes to find his son Robbie, and it doesn't take long for him to find him, and he's more worried about his son than the car, which is, a sign that he really does care about his kids. But he's like, hey, go back to the house, watch your sister, I'll be right back. And so Robbie does what he says. And so he goes where the lightning has struck multiple times, and it's like caused this little crater into the ground. It's smoking. It's smoking? Yeah, What would you expect, Sully? I don't know. You're a dumb skeleton. Shut up! So anyway, he kneels down. Tom Cruise, he works his way through this crowd, and he kneels down to this crater, and he picks up a bit of the concrete, and it's cold, which is super weird, which is not supposed to happen. And as these people are gathering around trying to figure out what the heck has happened, the crater starts to crack and trail and cause more destruction. Something is moving under this crater. It's a little bitty crater, and the whole area around them begins to shift and move. It's almost like an earthquake. That sounds horrifying. It is. And everybody's is backing away, is screaming almost, because buildings are shaking, they're collapsing. And out of the now large crater, it goes up and then collapses into itself. And out of this crater pops an arm with three fingers or whatever. It comes out, and then two more come out, and up rises this giant, horrifying tetrapod. I've been playing too much Armored Core. Tripod. And it makes the worst sound I ever heard when I was a child. This sound scared me as a kid. I will play it right now. Yeah, it's awful. That sounds horrifying. I have nightmares. And so, everybody's just kind of gawking at this giant alien tripod, and these little bitty arms come out from under the tetrapod, and they start to glow, and then it just starts literally vaporizing people. That sounds like a stereotypical alien movie. It kind of is. But it's terrifying because it's just turning people into dust. So Ray is running away because, thankfully, to the convenience of plot armor, he lives, and this tetrapod is just busting through this little town of I don't even know what town they're in. It didn't even specify. But he makes it back home, and he's covered in the dust of people that have been vaporized, and all that's left is their clothes. And when he gets home, his kids are like, "What the heck happened? What's wrong with you?" And he just ignores them. He just sits down by the kitchen counter, and his daughter is like, "What the heck is this stuff on you?" And he notices all this gross people dust on him. People dust? Yeah, it's just like your bones turned to dust slowly. That was on him. That's disgusting. It is. It was disturbing. So he wipes all this dust off him with nothing left in the next scene, miraculously. And he tells his kids, pack up, we're going. Oh, I forgot to mention, before the tetrapod rose up, there was this mechanic that was like, hey, the car, he works with a mechanic, I guess, now. And he's like, hey, this car's not working. The thing's fried. A part of it's fried. And he's like, all right, do this and switch it out with a different part. And anyway, that's important. That's important for later. But how's it important? I will get to that, Sully. But he tells the kids to pack up, and we're leaving town. And the daughter's getting scared, and the son's like, what the heck is going on? He won't say, but they leave the house, and they go to this mechanic, and the car works, surprisingly. And so his kids get in the car, and they have what little stuff they have, and McCann's like, hey, this isn't your car. We get out now. I'm not playing. He's like, hey, get in or you're going to die. And the mechanic's not listening, and he tells his son, Robbie, just shut the door. Let's go. And as they're driving off, he gets vaporized. The mechanic gets vaporized. That's kind of depressing. It gets really depressing later on in the movie. So they start driving off as destruction and like carnage is going on behind them. They're avoiding lasers and people are just dying all around them. The daughter starts having a panic attack and screaming, and thankfully Robbie keeps her calm and collected. And they have like the only working car in this little tri-state area. And they're just driving past a bunch of these like dead cars that aren't moving now, and driving past a bunch of people that are walking away from this devastation. Oh my gosh, excuse me. Excuse you. Thank you, Sully. But they eventually arrive at the mother's house because she lives with her new husband, and they're gone. The house is empty. And the daughter's like, is our mother dead? No. And he's like, no, they're not dead. Remember, they went to Boston. And so they try to gather their bearings, to try to, stay calm, to eat. And Ray, he tells his kids, like, all right, we're not sleeping upstairs. We're going to sleep down in the basement. And then they're like, why? I'm like, just do what I say. It'll be fine. So when night comes along and they go down into the basement and they're just kind of sitting there waiting for something, what happens? I'm getting to that. Well, you better hurry up. Shut up. You're such a rude skeleton. Well, they're in the basement and they start hearing the lightning again. Lightning is striking twice again. And they start hearing this like really loud whirring. It's getting closer and closer and closer to this house, and they're in the basement. They can see it through this little basement window. Not much. They can't see much, but they can hear this like awful noise just like hurling towards them. And then there's a flash of light, and Ray looks at Robbie. He's like, "Is there anywhere else we can go? What the heck is going on?" And so they hear this loud, like devastating crash, and Robbie. He grabs his sister and he throws him into her to the boiling room. There's like they're in the basement. There's another like underground basement in the basement, which is just convenient for the plot. That sounds really convenient. Yeah, it is. So, the moment they get into this little underground part of the basement, I think it's the boiler room. This like wave of fire comes over and they close the door in time. And so. Black fades out. Next scene, it's morning, and Ray he walks up from the basement, and the basement's destroyed. It's like burnt to a crisp. He walks out of the basement. The house is destroyed, and this massive plane has like destroyed this little housing area they were in. It was really devastating, and he finds out, and there's this news truck that is raiding this plane, and they're like gathering supplies to survive. And he encounters this, he runs into the newswoman, and she's showing him this footage that they caught. There's like multiple tripods around the entire globe. It's a full-on scale invasion, isn't it? It's a full-on scale invasion. Yes. Thank you, Sully. But and she's like, if you look, pay attention. She has footage of this lightning coming down and hitting multiple times. And she slows down the footage, and you can see these little pods in the lightning going down into the ground, which is the aliens that are piloting these tripods. And they're like, why were these tripods underground? They obviously planned this assault. So it's just this whole mess. And so he goes down and he gets his kids. And he tells the daughter to not look at the crash because she's going to have a panic attack. So, shoot, I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch my breath. Can I get a drink real quick? Sure you can. Thanks, Sully. Hold on 1 minute, please. Oh, that's better. So he tells his daughter to not look at anything, keep her eyes closed, because he doesn't want her to have a panic attack. So they get out of the area with the crash plane. They're taking the back roads because Ray doesn't want anybody to see that they have a working car, and they don't want to get into a fight, which is a little bit spoiler coming. They get into a fight over this car. That sounds awful. It gets worse. But as they're driving down the road in this little back road area, the dog's like, I have to pee. And he's like, really? And she's like, really? So they stop, and he's like, stay in sight. And she's like, I'm not going to go with you watching me. So she goes into this woods, and there's this river that's flowing through this little bitty farm town. And before she has the chance to do her business, bodies are just floating into the water. They're probably from the aliens. I don't know why there's so many bodies in the water. Good Lord. Now I'm thinking of the SCP. SCP? That'll be for later. All right. And then Ray runs up, and the daughter's hyperventilating. She's like, I told you to stay close. So he brings her back, and as he brings her back to the car, there's a bunch of I'm sorry, I hit you in the face. It's all right, no worries, it didn't hurt. But so as they're running back to the car, there's a bunch of military trucks and militia going towards the tripods. And the son is like, hey, bring me with you. I want to go with you guys. I want to fight these idiots. And Ray's like, no, you're not. And they get into this fight. And the daughter and his sister's like, what are you doing? I can't do this without you. So it's a bit of an intense fight. And you can start to tell that he does really care for his kids. He just doesn't really show it all that well. That's actually really sweet. It is. So they get back in the car. They start driving, and he looks at his son. He's like, I need to catch a wink. You want to drive? He's like, I don't have a license. He's just like, I hadn't stopped you before, has it? Oh, what a doting good father, right? That's really nice. So it cuts out to this next scene, and it's dark now, and the sun has driven them into a little bit of more of a crowded area. And okay, hold on one moment. What's going on now? Hold on. Hello, I'm back. Sorry, my brother made me pancakes. That was very nice of him. I will eat those in a minute. They look delicious. Can I have some? No, you cannot, Sully. Why not? You're a skeleton. You can't eat. Right. Yeah, I'm such an oaf. Yes, it's okay though. It's okay. We all have our dumb moments. So, anyway, where was I? The son was driving into a crowded area. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna adjust your head again. Thanks. But see, the son's driving. It's dark now. The son's driving to this crowded area, and people start to notice, hey, why do these people have a working car? Give me the car. And so Robbie's like, hey, Dad, wake up. This is bad. And so a bunch of people start crowding the car. They're trying to hit the window. Give me the car. I want this car. So they start breaking windows. Everybody's freaking out. And the car eventually, they try to speed up. And they almost hit a woman with a baby. So they veer off and they hit a pole, which just stops the car completely. Everybody starts climbing onto the car, into the car, shaking the car. That sounds really awful. Is the daughter going to be okay? Well, I'm getting to that. So, what happens is everybody's yanking everybody, and they're yanking him out of the car. They're yanking the Robbie out of the car, but the girl's still inside the car as everybody's clamoring into the car. It's awful. And I forgot to mention, during the beginning of the movie where they're leaving the house, Ray, he grabs a gun. So he notices he doesn't have control of the situation, so he pulls up the gun and fires it in the air. And he starts pointing at everybody who's screaming, hey, where's my son Robbie? Where's my son? And so people part ways, and he finds him, and he pulls him out of the crowd, and he's got a bloody nose. He's been beaten to a pulp. Sounds like a punk kid. He is, but he's got good intentions later in the movie. All right. Sounds nice. So it is. He's actually a very kind person. But he starts pointing at everybody, get back, we're getting back in our car. And then the daughter inside the car screams, and there's another man with a gun pointed at Ray's head. He's like, give me the car. Drop the gun, give me the car. So he does that, and he's like, can I please just have you can have the car, just give me my daughter. It's a very intense moment. So Ray drops the gun, he grabs Rachel, and they back away. So the dude with the gun gets in the car and he tries to drive off, but everybody else is like clambering over, fighting for the car. And another random stranger, he finds Ray's gun and he picks it up. And he's looking at the car like, I'm going to kill this person. Does he kill the person? Yeah, he does. And meanwhile, our troubled trio are in this like diner, and they're like sitting inside. It's raining, and they're like soaking wet. They're trying to catch their breath, and they hear gunshots. This man, the man that took the car before, is now dead, and everybody else is just fighting over this poor car. So it's just a very intense, just awful one. Like, they lost their mode of transport, and now it's time for them to walk, like everybody else. Yep. So it cuts to them walking, and they're almost to this ferry, and they're trying to get across this river where hopefully they're safe land from these tripods. And as they're walking, Ray runs into an old friend with her kid, and they start talking. It's just a weird scene. Everybody's like slowly getting onto this ferry, and the daughter's noticing these birds flying away, and she looks behind them, and there's like tripods coming up on the hill, and nobody notices this giant hulking alien machine walking up on them with a beaming light glaring at them until they hear a tree break. That is so dumb. It is. And the daughter notices it the moment it comes on the screen, and it makes that horrifying blaring war horn noise again. And so everybody's screaming, they're panicking, they're trying to get onto the ferry. And the ferry, it's reached its weight limit, and the captain's like, hey, no more. We can't fit anybody. And there's military around, they're stopping people. And I don't know why they introduced this character that knew Ray, because she gets left behind as they're getting onto the ferry. So it just wasn't an important character at all. So I don't know why she was in the movie. It sounds like a weird, useless role. It kind of was Sully. So anyway, I'm trying to adjust your legs here so you don't look crooked. You can't really see on the camera, but his legs are like crooked and twisted when I set him down on my lap. Could you put me down? I'm just trying to explain to them, Sully. Please be patient. But as the ferry starts like lifting up its docking area and starts setting out to sea, as the tripods are walking along, they're vaporizing people, causing a mayhem. So our troubled trio is on this ferry now. They think they're safe. But the captain of the ferry sees this water, this light under the water, and it starts creating a whirlpool, and out rises another tripod. So they're they can cross any kind of terrain, as you would guess. That sounds really awful. It is. It gets worse. Why do you keep saying that? Because it gets worse. The more the movie goes on, it just gets worse every time. All right, you don't have to get mad. I'm not mad, Sully. But anyway, this tripod, it tips over the ferry, and people are falling out. Our troubled trio, it falls out. They fall out of the ferry, and there's like more tripods on this side of the bank and on that side of the bank. They're in the water, and they're scooping people up with these weird tentacles, and they're putting them in these like cargo holds underneath the head of the tripod. And you'll see why they're keeping those people later in the movie. So they're like they're like a ways off from shore, and they swim to the shore. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, they had to have some Olympic swimming strength in order to make the distance they did. But they're tired, because swimming takes a lot of strength. It really does. Mm-hmm. And so people are getting vaporized, but they managed to get away from the like copious amounts of tripods invading the area. And now they're walking along this other abandoned farmland. just hoping to find shelter. And there's this hill area they come across, and they start noticing that there's military on it. And they realize that the area they're going to have tripods as well. So people that are in the area start running back where they came from because there's more tripods. They're pretty much in a pincer. Almost, it sucks. That sounds really bad. It is. And so Robbie, he runs over. He wants to fight. He wants to see this for himself. And he tells the daughter to stay by this tree as he goes and try and convince his son, hey, I'm not going to lose you. I need you, and I love you. It's a really intense, bittersweet moment. And eventually, as he's trying to convince his son, this other couple see Rachel by the tree, and they're like, hey, what are you doing here by yourself? And she's like, no, I'm not. My dad's right there. He's trying to get my brother. And they're in viewing distance. And they're like, no, you can't stay here. And he's like, she's like, my dad's right here. It's just it's kind of dumb because you can clearly see him struggling to get the son. But he realizes that Rachel's being taken away from these people for her own safety. That kind of pisses me off. Yeah, it does too. Because you can clearly see them in front of her. She's not even they're not even a mile away from her. But Ray eventually lets his son go and goes back and he gets his daughter. And as everybody's running, there's a giant explosion along the hill line, and we're led to believe that Robbie has died. So Ray has suffered a tremendous loss, as well as Rachel, and the tripod head is rising up from these flames. It's terrifying. Everybody's running, and in the distance, they see a farm, and there's a dude with a shotgun in the basement. He's like, over here, I have shelter, over here, and nobody's coming. But Ray and Rachel notice. I just realized what our troubled trio all start with R's: Ray, Robbie, Rachel. I think that was intentional. I honestly don't know. I have to look that up later. But anyway, they go into this basement with this. They go into this cellar with this basement dweller, and he thinks he closes it. And he thanks the man. Hey, thanks for the shelter. Thanks for taking us in. And he's like, hey, it's no problem. I forgot the dude's name. Oh, what was the dude's name that took him in? I don't remember. I couldn't tell you. I know, I'm not asking you. I'm just trying to remember myself, Sully. But, shoot, what was the dude's name? It started with an H. Havel? Havel? No, not Havel. That's Dark Souls. But it started with an H. I'm going to call him Mr. H. So, Mr. H introduces himself to Ray. And from the get-go, you can tell that this dude has clearly lost his mind. He's been underground for way too long avoiding these things. And, sorry, I have to adjust my arm here. You alright? Yeah, it's just my arm's getting numb from holding you so long. Weakling, shut up. So anyway, clearly from the get-go, you can tell that this Ray dude, Mr. H, is a nut job. He's like, we can take these guys on. And as they're underground, the tripods are spreading this red mist, and it's creating this blood vine that's spreading through the land. And this is where the captive humans come in. So I'm skipping over a couple bits. But, because I can't really remember the order this particular scene went in, but where I left off, you can see that they're grabbing people from these, holding areas. They pull one out, they put him on the ground, and as one tentacle is holding him down, another one comes in and has a sharp, a needle almost, it's like a giant syringe in it. You don't see it because it's hiding behind a car, but it's clear. So this giant syringe stabs into this dude, and they're draining the blood from humans. And we don't know why they do this. I actually had to look it up. So what are they using this blood vine for? This bloodweed? They use they literally use the blood of their enemies to mark their territory and to create a thriving area. Because later on we learned that they can't thrive in Earth's atmosphere, so they're creating this bloodweed to create an atmosphere that they could live in, that these aliens could live in. So they learn about this, and see, what happens next is that as they're like resting, a part of the basement caves in, and one of the tripods sneaks in like this camera. It's got like a weird tentacle camera thing, and it's like lurking around the basement trying to see if there's anything there. And again, thanks to the convenience of plot armor, they avoid this camera. And when they avoid this camera, they sigh with relief. And this basement has a bit of water flooding through it. And when they think they're safe, they're not. The actual aliens begin to come down, and they notice this because of the rippling in the water, because they're still in hiding. So, again, thanks to plot armor, they avoid the aliens, and they look pretty interesting. You can see where they get the tripod design, because the aliens also have 3 limbs. So it's just kind of cool. That's actually a nice attention to detail. It is. I agree. And so, Mr. H, he's clearly lost his mind, and he's like fighting over Ray. Like, he wants to kill these aliens. He's like, no, we don't stand a chance. And after he sees them drain this, like I said, I don't remember the order this particular scene went in, but they escape the aliens, and they flee. They don't flee, but they just live. They're still in hiding under this basement. And shoot, what happens next? Right. So after Mr. H sees that they're draining the blood for their draining their blood, he starts making a lot of noise, and Ray's like, dude, shut up. I'm not going to get my daughter killed because of you. So he blindfolds his daughter, and he tells her to cover her ears and sing a lullaby. And he brings Mr. H into this room to kill him. He needs to silence this dude. He doesn't want to, but he needs to for the sake of his daughter. So it's just a very gut-wrenching, really a hard moment for them. And the daughter realizes that she knows what he needs to do. That is really dark for like a 10-year-old. It is. This whole movie is traumatizing for this child. So what happens next is they're asleep now, and the daughter hears the noise, wakes up, and the camera has come back down, and it notices them. And so it tries to chase them to grab them, but Ray grabs an axe and he starts hacking away at the camera, and it almost breaks it off, but the daughter has run out of the house like an idiot. But it's understandable because she's like 10, she's scared, and she doesn't know what to do. I'm sorry, I have to adjust my arm again. Wow, how many times are you going to do this? Hopefully not a lot. So he hears Rachel scream, and he's like, oh crap, no, not my 10-year-old daughter. He runs out the house, and he can't find her until the tripod finds both of them. And it takes them up, and it puts them into their holding area. I'm skipping over a bit. The tripod takes Rachel first, and he's like mad. He wants to get this thing's attention, and he finds a belt of grenades on the ground, and he takes it and he throws the grenade at it, and there's a force field that blocks the grenade, but the tripod notices it, turns around, picks him up, puts him in the carrier. And now you can see these people are in this awful area. They're like, we're going to die. We don't stand an absolute chance. And he sees his daughter. He's miraculously put in the same holding area as his daughter. And she's gone completely catatonic, like the 1,000-yard stare from the SpongeBob episode. That sounds really goofy. In terms, yes, but in the movie, no, I almost dropped you. No, it's actually quite scarring for a child. So Ray notices her, and he snaps her out of it. And one moment, please, I need another drink. I've really never talked this long before. Oh, that's much better. Sorry. Anyway, so there's an opening above the holding area where they reach down and pull another human out for blood, and it opens up and it grabs Ray's leg and it starts hoisting him up, and he still has the belt of grenades, and there's this military dude and a bunch of other people have his one hand and they're pulling him down by one hand because he's pretty much in the sucking area. That sounds so wrong, but he's in the area where they're trying to pull him in, but they successfully pull him out, and the belt's gone, and he spits out the pins from his mouth, and the military's like, oh crap, everybody get down, there's going to be an explosion. Which, fact, grenades are not easy to pull, so you need to have a lot of jaw strength in order to pull a pin out of a grenade, because those things they're safety pins for a reason. So the tetrapod. Why do I keep saying tetrapod? Because you got Armored Core in the mind? I do. I'm probably going to play it after this. So the tripod blows up. Miraculously, for some reason, the holding area detaches from the explosion and it lands on top of a tree, and nobody gets impaled or hurt from this, and they all just get out of the tree just on a whim. Nobody's injured, which is a miracle on its own. Just plot armor, I guess. That sounds really convenient. It is. It is. So, it's just Rachel and Ray now. And they're walking into this other city, just trying to find a safe spot, trying to stay out of danger. And they realize this blood root has spread to this town, and it's like dried up. It's gray. And the daughter's like, hey, what the heck's going on? And Ray's like, it's dying. And we see that there's this tripod that is like leaned over on this building. It's like dead. It's not moving. It's down. We don't know why this is. It's explained later, like after the movie ends. I'm not kidding. Because Morgan Freeman narrates it. I forgot. He narrates the beginning of the movie as well. Which is just, it's funny. Morgan Freeman's in this movie? Yeah, he is. That was a really terrible impression right there. I know. I'm sorry. I cannot get our impressions right. Forgive me. So, there's in the distance, there's another tetrapod. It's like struggling to operate. And they're like, what the heck's going on with it? What is going on with it? And Ray notices that birds are landing on top of the tripod's head, which means, hey, he's looking at the military and he's like, hey, there's no shield on that thing. Blow it up, get it down. And so they successfully do that. And it comes down crashing, and the pod opens up, and one of the aliens crawl out and dies. It's dead. It's like grayed out. It's obviously not alive anymore. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. Like they get away. Oh well, no, hold on. It actually does have a bit of a happy ending. So they make it to Boston on foot. I don't know where they were, but they're in Boston now. And Ray and Rachel find the ex-wife and Tim and the ex-wife's parents' house, and miraculously Robbie's alive. What? He's alive? Yeah, he lives. I don't know how, but it's all happy fun time. Not really, but you can see that Ray is glad that he sees his son is alive, and that's the end of the movie. And we learn at the end of the movie that it was bacteria that the aliens couldn't take. They literally could not take the bacteria from our Earth because they were eating and drinking water from the planet, and that's what killed them. Which is, I guess, interesting, and I guess it's what killed the bloodweed or whatever. So yeah, that's a movie that scared me as a child. I enjoy it, and I probably will watch it again later in the future. You gonna watch it with me? I sure will, Sully. I sure will. Well, that's about it for today. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Y'all have a great day, bones and feeders. Later!